I would actually go a step further with how critical validation is. This sounds like controversial. I see that, but I think it is more important than love. I think you cannot have true love in the absence of having consistently been validated.
Not being validated.
Yeah.
I mean,
if there's not enough, if there isn't validation in the relationship, it's hard to feel loved. Because if you don't feel accepted or seen, what does the person love?
so love is not enough.
No, you can love a facade, but that doesn't feel good. I can, create all these stories about myself and, filter this and filter that and get all sorts of likes and praise, which is a positive judgment. Praise says, I like how you look, or I like how you perform. Validation says, I accept you independent of how you look or perform. Okay? In the absence of feeling seen, feeling accepted, it's hard to feel deeply loved. We haven't been vulnerable. We haven't shown ourselves, or we have, and the other person has been like, whoa, that's weird. And we shut that down.
Yeah.
Right. And so they love the parts of us that we've shown or dressed up, but perhaps not the entirety of who we are.
I'm curious if you have behaviors that are not verbal to validate someone, whether it be mimicking or copying. Is that a way to get someone to be more attracted to you?
Yeah. So the research on attraction is often with copying. So we are more attracted to people who copy us, which is like just if you're going on a first date.
Always try to copy more.
Always try to, right?
So don't do the opposite of what they're doing.
Right. But like, don't be, again, I as I said before, I give myself just this little cue, copy. That's it. Because if I'm like really dialed in on it, it gets awkward.
It's too much.
It's too much.
You're shifting when they're shifting constantly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But again, we're naturally wired to do this. And so if you just kind of remember it in a moment, that's sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, when you see someone smile, you tend to smile back.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a quick mimic. You see someone walk at you, unless you're like guarded that day and you're like, don't look at me. But if you have an open, relaxed state of being,
that's right.
You're more willing to smile when someone smiles at you. A quick gesture, right?
That's right. We see it as almost a common courtesy.
Yeah.
But it is at a deeper level. And when it's used more intentionally to kind of establish connection, it can be used in those ways.
So after attending and then copying, what would be the next level of validation?
Yeah, the next level up is to show some degree of understanding, right? And usually this is like logical understanding, cognitive understanding. I can see how you got there, right? And there's a couple skills here. You can do the anyone in your shoes would feel that way, right? Like anyone in your shoes would be probably anxious about this set coming together.
That's interesting.
Last minute.
Yeah. As opposed to saying, I can understand where you're coming from, you'd say anyone in your shoes. Is that what
you can do anywhere in your shoes? A way more effective way to do it is like, oh my God, yes, I would be so anxious to. Like, me too. If you think about going to a doctor and them saying like, if you're like, yeah, I don't know, I don't know if I should get a second opinion. You should absolutely get a second opinion. If it was my child, that's what I would do. Right? We're like, yummy. That feels good. Right? There's this sense of like, okay, I'm valid. What I'm thinking is valid. It's reasonable. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not being X, Y, or Z.
Yes.
That's kind of what these understanding skills communicate. One of them happens to double as a Jedi mind trick. I've just got to warn you.
What's that?
Proposing.
What's proposing?
Proposing is when, I was playing that little game in my head earlier where I'm trying to figure out like, what are you thinking? Why does this matter to you? I don't answer. I don't actually communicate any of that. This is all just in my head to keep me engaged. But if I come up with some stuff, I can throw it out there and see what sticks. I can propose something you haven't said. All right. It's also known as like mind reading.
Can you give me an example? How do we mind read someone?
A great example was actually an interview with Oprah and Meghan
Markle,
yeah. And Meghan Markle is describing, this life of being in front of the paparazzi and feeling like she couldn't be her true self. And then she's obviously kind of pained and shamed about having not stood up for herself. And she looks at Oprah, and she says, I was silent throughout this experience. I was just silent. And then Oprah, being Oprah, says, were you silent or were you silenced?
Ooh.
Boom! Oprah effect, right? That's
Wow.
proposing. That's articulating something the person hasn't said. And if you're really good, if you really nail it, perhaps you facilitate an insight that they didn't even have.
And you might be wrong, but if you're feeling it and you throw out, okay, what about this, this, or this? Maybe your intuition picks up on one of them and it's like, oh my God, you understand me. You're reading my mind.
So this is such a critical point. I'm glad you dialed in on that because I can't emphasize enough. These are skills, all right? And to develop any skill, you've got to strike out, right?
Yeah.
Usually if it's a skill for like a sport or something, you're getting coaching on the side. As therapists, I'm getting a lot of coaching on the side. And you're just taking that feedback in to sharpen those skills. But with this stuff, we tend to really internalize the feedback and get shut down or feel rejected or like, oh God, I'm just going to make things worse. And that is a mistake. You have to look at these things as skills that you develop. And you're right, you strike out, you get some feedback. Oprah strikes out all the freaking time. It's amazing. Like, go watch these and she just throws things out and it's just like, no, I wasn't scared. I was humiliated, And she's like, humiliated. She goes back down the ladder, copying. Humiliated. What was humiliating about it? Attending. She gets more information. She gets more, and then she tries again. Doesn't stick. She drops down that ladder, starts back with just being mindful, and then tries again.
Yeah, you got to attend. The mindfulness is about attending and copying, right? It's like, how can I be present with you is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, be curious.
How can I focus on you rather than think about myself or what I'm going through or what I want to say in this moment?
That's right, yeah.
How do I be curious and continue to follow up with asking questions as opposed to acting like I'm smart and having the answers?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the mindfulness part of this ladder, attending and copying.
Yeah.
But when you propose something, it's like you're trying to understand them.
You're trying
right?
to show that you understand. That's
By
right.
proposing, oh, when you were feeling this, when you had your child, I'm assuming it was a lot of anxiety, but also a lot of joy at one point. And maybe you can be like, no, it was a nightmare. Like the whole 24 hours was not joyful. And I thought the baby was going to come and I was going to have this connection, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Some women say that.
Yes.
Another one was like, it was amazing in this spiritual moment, and then brought him to my chest, and I felt one with my child.
Yeah, great example,
so it's like showing a few different options, but you might be wrong. Now,
here's the thing, though. In a perfect example, what most people do in that first scenario, when they said, oh, you must have been so excited, and the person goes, actually, no, I struggled with postpartum depression. They go, really? Oh,
next topic.
Hard. Yeah. And they just don't ever try again to show understanding. They're like, okay, I don't get it. I don't want to make things worse. And that is the biggest mistake. You've got to stay in the game. Just take it as feedback. Clearly, you weren't paying close enough attention. So go back to those two skills, keep working them, and then go
start again and ask questions again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Copying. Oh, tell me, what was that like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is like, I talk about each of these skills individually, but the real skill is being able to kind of like move between these things.
Interesting.
And know how to course correct.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.